I'm going to show you a diagram. And where do you put yourself? Are you a success seeker or are you a failure avoider? I'm telling you right now, the success seekers, those are the optimists. The success seekers are most likely to be self-motivated. I go to my class. I teach 600 students in introductory psychology. I've been doing this for 30 years. The first day of class, I say, how many are here today to avoid failure? 90% raise their hand. I say, well, great, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. But I bet you told your friends, I got to go to class. But I get to go to class. You don't see this as an opportunity to get something. You think you have to do this to avoid something negative. I bet you woke up to an alarm clock, not an opportunity clock. And it's all how you see it. It's your paradigm. Really. I tell them, look, see it differently. You're coming here to get something, you know, to learn, to move forward. When it comes to safety, where are we? I fear we're more likely to be failure avoiders. It's just how you talk. It's how you keep score. We're excellent because we only had one injury last year. In fact, I heard someone this morning say that that's our goal. 1.0 is our goal. Oh my goodness, that's just, shouldn't talk that way. 0 is your vision. And you set your goal on the things you do on a daily basis to reach that vision. And I'm talking about success-seeking things. I'm talking about leading indicators. I'm talking about what have you done for safety today? And I know, playing my vision today, they can list all kinds of stuff. That's the conversation. Then you feel like a success. Yeah, right. Tick them off. I did this, I did this, I did this. And instead of looking for how many will you do by the end of the week? Now someone will say, that's just semantics again, Geller. You bet. Because goal setting is a powerful technique for influencing behavior. But if you misuse the term, like DuPont does, 0 is our goal. No! 0 is your vision. It's your target. You could say ultimate goal, and I think, Barry, you did this today. You said our ultimate goal, and I forgive you because you said ultimate goal, and that's okay. But your process goals, you can talk about outcome goal. If you want to make that distinction, I think it's far simpler to say, this is our vision, and we have our daily goals we're going to set. Anything less than 0 is just not right when it comes to a vision. And when it comes to a goal, what are you going to do? How are you defining it? What are your successes? Now let's face it, most of us are here. You know, we have the big bang happening in the back of our head. That's fear. We're avoiding that. Yes, we avoid failure. But we also want to talk about successes. Count them. Talk about them. Ready, get set. Will he run? Of course he'll run. Right away. How long will he run? When the coach is not around, hold him accountable. My daughter played basketball. I watched the coaches. She was age 9. And if somebody on the team screwed up, everybody did suicide runs. I mean, that's their way of managing behavior on a basketball team. And I talked with the fullback on our football team, and he told me the other day, he was in my class. I teach a class on self-motivation, and he was in my class, and I said, so how do they manage you guys? Well, I'll tell you, if one of us misses a football meeting, everybody else has to do something we don't like to do, except for the person that missed the football meeting. And their rationale is this: we're going to put pressure on this guy. That is peer pressure. I don't like peer pressure. I want peer support. Peer pressure is working to avoid negative consequences or disapproval from your peers. Peer support is getting approval from your peers. It's a different paradigm. But the sign says only shirt and shoes required. And you know, that's not too far-fetched. If you have people with a paradigm of like doing it just because he's telling me, I'm just doing it because they're controlling me, they'll just do what's required and no more. By the way, I hope you're seeing this is far beyond safety. And it's far beyond the workplace. Can you see this with your kids, with your family, with your friends? From extrinsic punishment. Some of you still call it discipline. Come on, discipline's a positive word. Self-discipline. Look it up in the dictionary. You know, discipline comes from this, disciple comes from the same Latin root. To teach, to learn. What no industry discipline is, call it what it is, extrinsic punishment. We heard you remove the label. Our culture, maybe you don't see this in Canada, but in the U.S., man, we have these labels. And I was a little kid. Do not remove the penalty of the law. In our country, in the U.S., it's click it or ticket. I mean, everything's like the easiest way. What our government knows about changing behavior is pass a law and enforce it. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm simply saying it's not optimal. And you're not going to produce self-motivation. And it is about attitude. I got that from my secretary's bulletin board. That's not exactly how she drew the hand. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say. You know? Hey, so what'd your supervisor say? Think about it. If someone came up to a worker and said, I'd like to see you tonight as a supervisor, what do you expect? What do you expect? Isn't it too bad that the word feedback, as well as the word behavior, has negative connotations? We cannot improve without feedback. Practice makes permanence. Only practice with feedback makes perfect. So we need feedback, but too often it's seen like that. In my research center at the university, we have actively caring thank you cards. Before every meeting, we recognize, as you guys have done so well at this meeting, you've recognized people who have led this effort. Why not do that all the time? And specify that with the bottom of the card that is shown here, we actually specify what is the behavior you're recognizing. Let's understand intrinsic reinforcement. Sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words. There are some things we do that do not require extrinsic consequences. We do things because it's followed by natural consequences. Skinner's legacy is still true. Selection by consequences. Whether you read a book, watch TV, ride a bike, outside, inside, I need an extrinsic thing to keep me going. Outside, I get natural consequences keeping me going. That's correct, Billy, but you don't win a prize this time. What's wrong with that picture? Billy expects an extrinsic reward. The teacher made a mistake. She should be focusing on the intrinsic consequence. Billy, you solved the problem. Let me tell you something about people. People become self-motivated when they believe they are competent at doing worthwhile work. When you help a person believe that what they do is worthwhile and that they're good at it, they will become self-motivated. You don't need extrinsic rewards for that. Just the feeling of, I'm good at this. You know, Bob was telling me, giving me, breaking down the simple behavior of sweeping the floor in the place, in the plant. And breaking down that it's not so easy. And, you know, I felt like walking up to one of those guys and shaking their hand and giving him a wristband. By the way, this wristband, actively caring for people, use that to recognize somebody. Don't keep it yourself. Pass it on. I have some more if you'd like to have one for yourself. I'll tell you more about that later. From outcome focus to process focus. I'm going to move quickly now because I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. So this picture's, you know, the focus is on the outcome, but it's the behavior that we've got to worry about. From reactive outcome numbers to proactive indicators. From behavior-based safety, I'm proud to say I started in '79, but people misused it. It's a worldwide phenomenon now. I'd say people-based safety. Meaning, we have to use the tools from behavior-based safety. Coaching. Can I just tell you, I know you guys do coaching, so why don't you teach the meaning of coach? C. Care. C stands for care. know that I care, you'll care what I know. I care so much, I'm willing to observe you. And while I observe you, I'm going to analyze. I'm going to look around and see what are the barriers to safe behavior and what are the facilitators, perhaps, of at-risk behavior. I'm going to analyze it. And let's see, communication. So people-based safety is using the tool in such a way that the people own it, how you communicate it. If you do it well, H is help. What I'm trying to show you, or what I'm trying to explain is, behavior-based safety talks about the activators as directing behavior and consequences as motivating behavior. But this is the piece that behavior-based safety consultants miss. There's a person in there who's thinking, and there are attitudinal factors and thinking factors that influence whether they follow these directions and whether they're motivated by these consequences. This one kills me. And again, I'm reacting to what I hear out there in the world. People say, stimuli trigger behavior. Have you ever heard that? The consultants say, this stimulus triggers behavior. You know what that implies? That this stimulus causes behavior. You've got great signs. Signs do not cause behavior. They direct behavior. But people choose what to do. And it's very important to use the word choice in your conversation. Why did you choose to do that? So I'll tell you something else about self-motivation. People are more self-motivated when they believe they have choice, autonomy. So if you talk, why did you choose that? Turn on the can opener, he's in my chair again. Now that dog might salivate. Perhaps you've heard about Pavlov's flowering dogs. The dog will salivate. In that case, the can opener is a conditioned stimulus which causes the dog to salivate. Now you can use the word trigger for classical conditioning, for involuntary behavior. But that dog will choose. If he hears a can opener, that can opener will direct him. It's in the kitchen. If he wants food, he will choose to get off the couch. It's not triggered. How you talk will influence how people think, how people feel. And let's push this idea that you have choice. Thank you for choosing. It gets more complicated. I won't go into this, but except to show you just briefly, lots of stuff are in the person that influences their behavior. You know, your values, your goals, your expectancies, your beliefs, your competencies. And then we're talking about actively caring. I have done research and others have done it. If you want people to actively care, to go beyond the call of duty for others, you have to boost their self-esteem, their sense of competence, their sense of choice or personal control, their optimism, and their sense of belongingness, their sense of team. If you read the book you have, you'll see much more of that